Good afternoon and good evening to you all, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. My name is Peter, and it's a great delight to warmly welcome you to our Harmony House webinar, Patience is a Virtue, by Pratibha Patel. For those of you who don't know Pratibha, Sister Pratibha Patel is a beautiful soul, born in Zambia, and has been a student of Raja Yoga since 1974. And as part of her distinguished career, she is the permanent representative to the United Nations Environment Programme, Assistant Regional Director for the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University in Africa, and a member of the UN Economic Council for Africa. Looking at her face, you can tell that her passion is simply, by her example, being a teacher of spiritual education for the upliftment of humanity. And she travels widely, lecturing and presenting seminars on personal development, stress management, and amongst others, positive thinking. So this evening, it is said that patience is a virtue. And I feel that in our rapidly changing world, patience is a gift we all possess and maybe have forgotten. So I'm looking very much forward now to Sister Pratibha's sharing on this very timely subject, patience is a virtue. Over to you, Pratibha.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much for introducing so beautifully, but also giving this opportunity to share. This evening, I'm not here to give you a huge theory of patience is a virtue. I'd rather share some insights and then experiences regarding this virtue. It's so necessary that rather than theory, I think experience is the greatest teacher. And so when we exchange experiences, we are not teaching, but we are learning. I'm learning from all of you, and you're learning what I am sharing. And so it's a lovely gift for one another. As Peter just mentioned, it's very timely. I know we've been in this race in the world. It's said rat race. So we're just rushing from one place to the other, whether it's airports or whether it's road or even in the house. So you think that if we move around a lot, do you think we're very busy? Or are we achieving a lot end of the task or end of the day? And I remember Dadi Janki, of a very senior inspiration in the institution, who just left us last year at the age of 104. Why I'm mentioning this age is I am trying to share the wisdom. And Dadi Janki always used to say, if you walk around with files and papers, running around from one place to the other, doesn't mean that you're very busy. Because human beings relate to busyness as achievement. Whereas Dadi Janki always used to say, be easy. I'm never busy, but I'm very easy. And where does this easiness come from? And that's where I need patience. Patience or tolerance. Now, this evening, we're going to talk about patience. And where I am, I'm in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe. It's interesting here, the local members of the family have interesting names. And I come across a person called Patience. She is such a lovely soul, but not only one, I've met a lot of patients. And I always say, how did your parents name you? Because here the culture is interesting. Either you have a very traditional local name, which is quite difficult for other cultures to pronounce. So the parents give them one local name, but the other one is an English name. As guess what? It is either Patience or either Fridays or Sundays. That's the name. Even Monday is a name. And the parents relate to that as the beginning of the week or the journey, the end of the holy day of Friday, or Sunday, the Sabbath. They relate it to spirituality or religion or faith. So they don't just name it, but there is some meaning behind it. I used to work with a soul at the UN in UNEP, and his name was Strike. And I asked him, how did your parents name you Strike? And he says, in those days, because the freedom fighters were fighting for the independence and the struggle, and there used to be a lot of strikes. And our parents and, the community used to come across a lot of strikes. And that's when the doctors, the hospital, the nurses were on strike, and I was born. And so my parents gave me the name Strike. So in many cultures, it is said that when you have a name which is related to a power or a blessing or a quality, that is born into you. Whereas sometimes you're named behind your own quality or strength. So what I would say is patience is a virtue. In this day and age, it has just become a saying. I mean, I'm not very expert in Bible, but it's even said in the Bible that patience is a virtue. And even generally, people relate to that as a saying. Saying does not help me. I need to have the understanding. So here at the Brahma Kumaris, not being a faith or a religion, but it's actually a meditation school where we inspire people to learn to meditate and bring the ability within yourself. And that's where we share knowledge of meditation, knowledge of power, knowledge of qualities and virtues. And so knowledge alone never works. If you say you have a lot of knowledge of accounts and banking, that doesn't mean you become a bank owner. Or if you have a lot of knowledge of health, that doesn't mean you become very healthy. Or if you have a lot of knowledge of recipes and cooking, that doesn't mean your stomach would be full. Knowledge plus understanding. I must understand what I read, what I listen to, or what I listen to, or in fact even write. Whatever I speak or read or write, I must try and understand. After understanding, I practice. When I'm practicing, whatever my outcome is in a form of experience, in a form of practice, inculcation, or embodiment, I have wisdom. So knowledge plus understanding equals to wisdom. And that wisdom is the essence. That wisdom is that light which helps me on my path or my task. And that light gives me such beautiful direction in life. At the moment, the whole world, please don't take 100% because out of that whole world, maybe a couple of souls are very patient and quiet and tolerant. But when I give a statement like majority are going through that experience, and so we are in a rat race, we are rushing from one end to the other, up to down. We are talking a lot, sometimes even screaming, shouting, reacting, and sometimes getting very disheartened when you don't achieve what you expect. And all this comes under the rat race. We are rushing around. And so, how do I develop the virtue of patience? It's lovely. According to my personal experience, as a youth or a teenager, before I even started my spiritual journey, or I was in the spiritual journey, but still a lot of that youth, um, identity. I was also, quite rushing into things. So I rush in thinking, I rush in talking. I even sometimes rush in, action. And one time we were very new in the UK in the underground trains. I used to go with my parents. I didn't have to worry as a young girl. But when I started my own sort of life, spiritual life, I was in the London Brahma Kumaris Center. And Dadi asked us, three of us from Africa, to go to Germany. And so we were supposed to go and get the German visas in the city. So one, we were learning the underground. And so, learning means we have to look at every map, try and understand where we want to go. In those days, we didn't have tom-toms and all that you can just drive there. Not many people have time to drive you. So you must learn this underground. And so I had my other, colleague from the center, one of the brothers. So he was quite slow, slow in talking, slow in action, completely a different personality from me. And so we were standing at the, underground station, and we were supposed to buy a ticket to take us to the city. So, I mean, I tried and studied the, what do you call the map. And I said, just press, it's okay. In fact, we didn't even have change, money. We had full notes. So the brother was wondering where to get the change. I said, bring, I'll just go and get it. So I rushed to a small little kiosk there and I asked this gentleman, can you please give me change? I need, 50p and a pound. And he said, no, sorry, I need it for my customers. So I quickly just bought something from that little kiosk and I got change. So I could use the thing which I bought, that's fine. And I got the change. And I told this brother, let's quickly just get the ticket before the train comes, And I just press. And when I press, guess what? I got the wrong ticket because I was rushing. Not that that soul was very slowly working means he had a correct ticket. No, we had two wrong tickets. So now I have to quickly sell this. And there was another passenger who came. And I said, where do you want to travel? Say, I want this, Piccadilly or whatever. So I said, I have these 2 tickets. Can you please take that? And I want another one. So I quickly sold those tickets. So one side I rushed into something which gave me an outcome of wrong. But then I even rushed and put into action, and I sold those tickets. And this kind gentleman just took the tickets, and I had money again, coins, and I now patiently put the money and pressed, and I got my ticket. And we were on the train on our way to the embassy. So this scenario where you say, if you act slowly, that doesn't mean that you have all correct outcome. Sometimes you have to act instantly. And sometimes you have to think slowly and act. So between the two situations, patience is a virtue. Now, patience doesn't mean you're so slow and you are, dragging along and you take hours and hours to make a decision. That is not patience. But rushing into things is also not patience. But it's interesting, whenever I give meditation courses, I show my students that meditation helps you to tap a pattern in your inner self where you think and you talk and you act. So in the world out there, there is a saying, think before you do anything. Oh, think before you do anything is too late. The arrow is out of the bow. Once you perform an action, as I did, I pressed that, button of the ticket. So, I mean, that is fine. I can sort it out straight away, instantly, which I did. There are some things you just, do something and you cannot reverse the situation. Then there is also a saying, think before you say anything. Saying words from our mouth is like an arrow. It will actually target and hurt someone. But here in meditation, it is said, think before you think. It's a quick process, and a lot of thoughts go through that pattern. But think before you think means I filter my thoughts. Isn't that interesting? So I, the being, that is the self. So we have two identities here. Who am I? So I'm a human being. Human is the physical, which is chemicals and particles, which is flesh and blood. That is the physical body, my instrument. The being side is the metaphysical or spiritual. Somebody will call it Atma, and the other person would call it Ruh and Roho and Nafs and spirit and soul, whatever you call. But the quality is the same. Words doesn't change the qualities of the soul or the Ruh. And so it's like expressing the sweetness in a form of sugar. If you want to sweeten your coffee, you would add sugar. Just an example, you could put sweetener, you could put honey, but sugar is white, sugar is brown, sugar is crystal, you would agree. But sugar is sweet. The quality of sugar is sweet. You need to experience that sweetness. Similarly, when we talk about, the quality of the being that is I, the soul. Every soul's quality is supposed to be the same, which is called the innate values. We are born with it. Every soul is born with this innate values. And when we acquire this physical body as an instrument, then we start acquiring different skills. So it's acquired skills and innate or inherent values or virtues. And peace is the embodiment of that being. I am a peaceful being. I'm a loving being. I'm a pure being. I'm a happy being, a blissful being. These are the qualities of the being. So one has a nature of the physical body where some are very quiet and some are very hasty, some are loud and some are soft, some are action oriented and some are very, not action oriented. I won't even say dull, but they need that courage. So in the physical world, we need constant zeal and enthusiasm to act. And when we have zeal and enthusiasm to act, I use and I develop my acquired skills. You can become a singer and a dancer. You can be a very good chef or a cook. You can be an IT expert, or you can be a good driver or a flower arranger or whatever, a dancer. So these are all different acquired skills. The moment I leave this acquired body, that's my instrument, all my skills are gone with that body. When I get another body, I have to relearn those skills. Although I have the tendency in the being, but I have to make efforts to learn. Similarly, here, we are born as spiritual being or metaphysical being. And this evening, we will address ourselves as souls, just an energy which is so divine and pure and very subtle. You cannot see this energy, but you can feel it. You can experience it. And so the innate qualities or the virtues which are in me are all related or interconnected. Peace and happiness, harmony and love, understanding, respect. These are all virtues which are innate or inherent values into the being. And when I, the soul, work through this instrument, and whatever actions or words or thoughts I create as a being, patience is a bridge between the physical and the metaphysical, between the physical and the spiritual. And I need to use this bridge to cross through. And so here we are going to talk about strength. Strength is developed in the physical. You have the strength to sit down, or you would say, I don't have the strength to sit longer, or I'm not feeling well. So that's where the strength comes in the physical body. I need to constantly nourish this body. And how do I nourish it? Regular sleep, regular food, sunlight, fresh air, exercise, walk, all this helps me to nourish the body. And when a healthy body is there, you would see the strength in the body. The body can act and work and, make efforts longer than you think. It's called a healthy body or a healthy instrument. Then the soul. The soul doesn't only consist of virtues and qualities, as I mentioned, the innate values or inherent qualities, but the soul also has powers, very lovely powers within the soul. And so the soul is identified with these innate values and the powers: power to tolerate, power to adjust, power to face any situation, power to discern, power to, cooperate. So what is this powers? These are the powers which helps me to bring it across when the soul starts becoming weak. We are losing these powers. And that's where I do not have tolerance. I do not have peace, the quality. I do not have understanding for myself, understanding others, and understanding the situation. And so when I don't have the tolerance, when I don't have the respect, and I don't have the discerning power or love or harmony or respect, that's when my patience goes away. I become impatient. And so I, the soul, is then reacting in words or action or in the mind, in thinking. So when we are impatient in thinking, you start becoming aggressive, or you start becoming, what you call irritated, or you start becoming stressed. See, stress, tension, irritation. Maybe you don't show it, but people can feel it. People can definitely feel. So that is in the mind. When I am impatient in my words, then I speak a language which is not very positive. I start speaking a language which is more weak and more gross and negative. The words are not encouraging. This is the language I use, the words I use. And when I am impatient in my actions, then I don't have to tell you. Nowadays, you see so much of road rage everywhere. When you have this road rage, you don't understand what people are up to. They want to overtake you from the wrong side, and do things which you can't imagine. This is one: road rage, violence, stealing, snatching, pushing. That is the actions. Now, what we are trying to do is we are trying to sort the world out there, how to have a society which is safe, secured, non-violent, tolerant. And they have such huge conferences on xenophobia and tolerance and, patience and all that. But it starts from inside. If I want to transform that world and society out there, I don't need to trim the leaves. Trimming the leaves means telling people don't shout, don't scream, don't act like this. It won't help. But let me first become the embodiment. First, I have to become the embodiment. And it's interesting, that's where meditation helps me. Meditation helps me to go within or step within, connect with my inner self. And connect with my inner self means my qualities and my power. Whatever little I have, because at the moment, remember, I haven't tapped into it. You're just doing it. You're just starting or working on it. So we have two sets here. One is our emotions through the heart, and one is logic through the mind and intellect. So when we have logic, I use logic. But when I need to use emotions, I use my heart. So emotions is through unconditional, pure love. And logic is calmness of the mind, focus of the mind, concentration in the mind and the intellect. So meditation helps me to bring these qualities and these powers, not from out there, but from within me, just tapping it. And once you tap that, you start having harmony with your own self. And so you have such beautiful harmony. Whenever you need to use your emotions, you quietly use that. Whenever you need to use your logic, you respectfully use your logic. And there is such a beautiful harmony between the two. The moment you connect with your inner self, you will start understanding the self. You are understanding yourself, which is projected out there, and you will start understanding people around you, whether it's your family, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's your job, work, boss, friends, community, and the world. I will start understanding. And after understanding, I will, act with that respect. That is called the wisdom. Because you understand why this person or this situation is like this. And I develop that within myself. You might ask me, how do you develop that and how do you tap into it? Regular practice of silence. Because remember, I mentioned we are rushing around all the time. Even if you're not rushing, somebody is rushing around you. So rushing doesn't mean just action. Rushing means upheaval here. And I need to quiet that upheaval in the mind, in the thoughts. I need to quieten this mind and the intellect and think before you think. So this consciousness of I being a soul helps me to create a filter. And this filter is in my mind. Think before you think. So if it is a positive thought or a creative thought or a powerful thought or a pure thought, then it will go through with the consciousness of being a soul. But if it is selfish motive, if it is negative, if it is impure, intentional, then it will not go through. It will filter. So only the best thoughts will go through. And that's why it's called think before you think. And these thoughts will then come into your language, which is so powerful, encouraging, hopeful, not hopeless. You will create hope into people. First, you will have hope for your own self. And then it will come into action, and all your actions will start becoming very positive. And that is called the embodiment. I am practicing. I become an inspiration in front of others. And that is the most effective thing in this world. That's where the patience is, becoming a virtue. And I have a bridge between my mind, that is the soul, the being, and the body, that is words and action. And people will see, oh, this person was so impatient. What happened? He's so patient now. Mind you, even without becoming soul conscious, some are gifted in a form of patience. They will not talk anything. They will be quiet. But here, the upheaval is still there. They will think too much, judge so much. So that is again a very limited gift. But here, I want to give myself a gift of patience is a virtue in my day-to-day life, and it will become so beautiful that I will experience that innate values in my day-to-day life. And I will become that embodiment, what I want to see in the world. First, I see it in myself. And I don't just leave it till the knowledge, but I bring it into wisdom. This wisdom gives me light, it gives me directions, and gives me, the ability to reach my destination. And so in our day-to-day life also, people wanting this very much. So rather than just talking to people, can we first practice, be an example, and then even if you're not an example, but people will, receive the fragrance from within you. This is a very patient, genuine soul, and that's what we want. So regular silence and regular focus with our inner self will help me to tap into these qualities and virtues and powers. So I'm going to stop there, and we're going to have a little reflection, I would say a little meditation, where I will be giving some suggestions, because words' effect on your mind is very subtle. Whatever you say, however you say, has a very deep effect on your mind. And you must have noticed, even if you are talking to a little baby who can't express so much in talking, just knows a few words. But we have two different scenarios here. One is if you tell that child, just go and put this there now. I told you do it now. And then you would say, please go and put this there now, please. Thank you. So there are two ways of expressing. So you'd agree with me. The first one, that child is going to react. Even doesn't know how to express words, but will react and not do it. Will not go and do what you asked to do. An innocent child would also do that. But the second one, the latter one, that child would respond to you very positively, because it's the vibration, the fragrance the child can feel. And so whether you talk or not, whether you react or not, that people can see and experience through the vibrations. And so I can be a very positive, inspiring embodiment in front of others and make them the way I have experienced. And so there are two words. One is called the influence. We don't want to influence anyone because influence is temporary, but inspiration is something which comes from within. So we also want to be inspiring ourselves and inspiring others rather than just influencing. And so if you can all sit up straight, and just slowly wind up from the outward towards the inward. So the sound around me is fading. There is just silence in the environment. And with my mind and intellect, I step within, look for a quiet space within myself. I'm now feeling the inner silence. I can hear this silence. It is so soothing, so comforting, so cooling, so comforting, and so powerful. This silence connects me with my quality as a peaceful being. I situate in the center of the forehead, a point of light, energy. I am a peaceful being. I see through these eyes and I listen through these ears and I perform action through these hands. That I am detached and loving. Whilst performing actions, whilst talking, and whilst thinking, I am patient. It's my virtue quality. It makes me think before I think, and it makes me think positive, powerful, creative. And that's the words and my action are reflected out within. My life becomes beautiful with these qualities. I am a positive, peaceful being. I create such thoughts which benefits me and gives me a healthy mind. A healthy mind gives a healthy body. And with my inner silence, I nourish I, the being, and I'm rich with all the qualities and powers. I just want to feel this within me. When I feel it, I now step outward and want to share this with souls around me. I am inspiring souls around me and helping them to connect with their inner self and experience the silence within, which taps into my powers, my virtues, and my qualities. And in this day and age, I need the virtue of patience so that my life becomes meaningful. And I work with that tool of patience. Om Shanti and thank you. Any questions?
Pratibha, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so, so much on behalf of us all.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure some questions will be following, but I learned so much from you this evening. And I just want to say bless you. And you're the example of the wisdom of experience.
Yes.
Everywhere from the London Underground to taking us into this silent space of meditation. And well, I'm waiting for some questions to come. If I can tease you with two questions. The first one.
Sure, welcome.
Oh, thank you. The first one is there a foundation value or virtue to patience? We know about peace, yes, but is there something to complement peace, which is a really strong foundation?
Yes, that's a lovely question because, you know, the foundation of patience is to destroy or to, you know, transform ego into humility.
Ah,
The moment I let go my ego and I become humble, in this world, we think if you become humble, you're defeated. And if you're egoistic, you are strong, which is not true.
it's true.
The moment you become humble, that's the very strong foundation, where patience can stand strongly.
So
There
that's
are many others, but for me, this has become the one.
it matches into during your beautiful sharing. You said that you lose your patience when you lose your self-respect, and that's where our anger comes and our whatever it is. And the line of ego to humility, yes, I do fully equate with what you're sharing, Pratibha. You know, if you're full of ego, I'm the great thing, you will not learn. And together we can learn, together we can make a difference. Lovely answer, thank you. Few words, but very, very powerful. And my journeys, Pratibha, doing a lot of work with living values education. And I was recently in a country in Europe where the parents have a yearning for nostalgia, a yearning for nostalgia. Now, I read this as being that the beautiful parents that they are didn't know themselves. They were trying to seek something that they knew, but they couldn't quite reach it, or something that was in their past. Have you got any? I'm just reading a question here, and is there? Do you feel that humanity is really searching for themselves now? I think that's the question.
To be very honest, humanity were in that rat race, remember? They thought higher position, good jobs, good identity, car, house, mansion would fulfill them. But they have realized that this achievement of materialistic things is not the true attainment that human beings have realized. But in this last 2 years, approximate 2 years, COVID-19 pandemic has become a blessing in disguise. A lot of people know that, good jobs or cars or houses is not the answer to what we need. And that has helped a lot of people because loved ones are gone. You can't do anything with your bank balances. You couldn't save your loved ones with all that money which was in the bank. You didn't have place in hospitals. So all these outward attainments is not the rat race people are after now. To an extent, I think mankind has now stepped in and they have a different direction and they are absolutely searching, absolutely searching. Even when, I was just giving a meditation foundation course to 3 people last week. And when they first came to me, I asked them, what are you looking for, you know, in life? First, I had to analyze them. And they all gave me different values they were looking for. Somebody respect and somebody, love, identity. But one soul said, I'm looking for wisdom. And that's when I thought, at the moment, people's thinking has changed. Maybe sometimes some people don't even know they're looking for wisdom, but this soul did know whatever the definition of wisdom is. But this is the word that soul used. And I realized that people are searching.
How there's a question come in, it's very pertinent to what you've been sharing, Pratibha. How does meditation help us to concentrate?
Oh, lovely. What happens is that I'm going to use an identity, metaphor. So if I come to your office and I'm about to sit on a chair, and you would say, please don't sit on this chair, because we haven't used this chair for last 20 years. We don't know how safe it is. And then you explain me and say, oh, when I bought this, it was such black, shiny leather and very comfortable. And I paid a price. It was quite expensive. So first you explained to me that it was shiny leather, very attractive. Then you explained to me it was very comfortable. And then you gave me the value. So one is identity. The other one is purpose. And the third one is value. I already mentioned in my previous answer, identity. I need to identify who I am. Where does concentration take place? Is it the physical body? No. So naturally, you're going to tell me concentration is needed in the mind. So first is identity. Who am I? I'm not this physical body of chemicals and particles. I'm not this flesh and blood, but I am a spiritual being. And this spiritual being is at the moment completely losing the identity. I, the soul, is identified with things around me, what I have, possessions around me, identified like that. But really, I am the master of these things around me. I am the master. I need to let go the consciousness of what I am, but who I am is very important. And so what happens is that this silence and reconnecting with myself helps me to flush out all the different, connection we have. And you will then connect with your inner self, the true identity. And that will help you to tap concentration within you. First is concentration, and then slowly you will realize. So it is the mind, the intellect, and the tendency. So I need to take the help of the mind. One is my conscious mind. The other one is the subconscious mind. And we've always neglected the third level of the mind called superconscious level of the mind. So I tap into my superconscious level of the mind. That's where very effective concentration is. But how do I tap into that? Regular practice. Regular practice helps you to tap and then use it.
For those who aren't aware, what is the super conscious level of mind?
Yeah, it is, it is a mind which is so clean, so pure, without any, rust on it. Rust means all the negativity and, consciousness of the gross materialistic things. It is slowly being washed away. So it's there. The true mind is that very powerful, where all the powers and qualities and virtues are so stored. It's within me. But I've taken all this identity, different identity, which covers up the superconscious level of the mind. And so I need to flush it out. I need to cleanse it. The moment I start cleansing it, I will use that superconscious level of the mind. So I'll give you an example here. If you're a chain smoker and you do promise with your own self that I want to stop smoking now, yeah, but you are only talking with your conscious mind that I want to stop smoking. But your subconscious mind will interrupt every now and then, say, oh, but you've been smoking for 50 years. If you stop now, you will not be well. You'll become unwell. Don't try that. So it's like two minds are having a clash here, and sometimes the subconscious mind is telling you, please stop. But the conscious mind is interrupting and having a tug of war. But the moment you tap into the superconscious level of the mind, um, for me, it was only meditation which helped me to do that. And in that, there is so much power and strength that you will stop your smoking. And the conscious and the subconscious mind cannot interrupt it. It's so powerful and effective.
There's a lovely question. You're so inspiring in what you're saying, not influencing, which is temporary, but inspiring, permanent. A very deep question. How can meditation help me to become echo-free? We have a thought. Okay, I'm going to go to super consciousness. Then it comes back again. This is the echo. How can we be echo-free?
I'll come back to the same answer again and again, that the world is identifying everything with the outward identity. I know when I was growing, it's not so old, but it's not too young also. So when I was growing and we want to explain to our parents something or somebody, then we would say, remember that uncle round the corner who's so kind and so helpful? Or that, excuse me, that granny who is so sweet? We always used to identify with qualities, But later on, I've witnessed, I might be wrong, but I have witnessed that whenever somebody wants to explain you something, they will identify saying, remember that gentleman who drives a BMW? Or remember that person who always wears branded clothes? Or remember that lady, who lives in that big mansion round the corner? I'm talking about that. Or working for that company or that CEO or whatever, So the whole identity crisis is there. And the moment your job is gone, your identity is gone. Your car is gone, your identity is gone. So if you relate to the outward world and try and work, that echo keeps on coming back again and again. But if you identify yourself as being a very sweet, humble, pure being, authentic being, then you are not going to have this echoes, because it's the other way around. It's such a solid environment that it doesn't, multiply and come and fight with you. But you are connected with your own self. And so when you connected with your own self, you identify it very genuinely. This is the best I can put in words. I don't know those who've asked.
I don't know who asked the question there, but I'm coming back to a beautiful line you shared. You so many nuggets of jewels you've been sharing this evening. You're saying patience is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. Let's say that somebody's on this spiritual journey, and they might say, how can I be free from ego? Or when they're deeply spiritual, how can I be healed from this physical illness that I have? And the echo keeps coming back of being egotistic, or there's something troubling the soul at that time. How can meditation and deep reflection really assist the souls to find that purity, that calmness, that stillness that we're all seeking?
You just have to see where you're going to use this. If it is the physical illness, then of course you're the self-healer. You can do it. You can heal yourself. So when you're looking at the situation, don't see it in a form of, oh, feeling sorry or being merciful for your own self, but be very confident and talk to yourself and say, we can heal ourselves. I'll give you an example. It's a very personal one. I was serving in some part of Africa. Please don't take me wrong. All Africa is not like that. But some places have just come out of war. And so they don't have any medical facility there, the hygiene, the infrastructure. And so that country had just come out of war. And so I was affected with some problems, and I ended up having such bad reaction in the physical body, which was medically called Stephen Johnson syndrome. If you browse, you'll get an answer. It's something so dangerous. They flew me and took me to Kenya and admitted into the hospital. And I was beyond recognition. This was in 2005. My students were coming to see me at the hospital, and they could not recognize me. They said, Sister Pratibha was in this room. Is she discharged? And they're asking me. So it's like the first degree and third degree burns in your body, beyond recognition. So when, a couple came who were my students, and when the lady was crying, but when the gentleman started crying, that's when I asked myself, why is this brother crying? So after they left, I hopped to the washroom and I looked at myself in the mirror. And when I saw myself, you wouldn't believe it. You can't recognize. It's like walking out of a fire. Anyway, so what would happen? You'll get depressed, you'll get scared, you will, become so impatient with life and all that. No, I didn't do that. I just walked back to my bed and I sat down cross-legged and I started talking to myself and saying, look, we have given, the being, is telling this instrument, we have given life to mankind's service. And we can't go in front of anybody like this, isn't it? So we'll have to heal and we'll do it. Either I, take the power from the ultimate, whoever you call that ultimate, it doesn't matter. That's the powerhouse. And either I develop that and generate within myself. And every day with my own thoughts. But of course, I was connected to the ultimate. Somebody calls it God and Allah and whatever. So that regularly I was recharged. And in that way, I could heal myself. The doctors were surprised. So either in the world, we'll start a blame game, isn't it? That because of this person or because of this doctor or because of this situation, no, put a full stop there and just start taking responsibility. And you will see whether it's physical body, whether it's financial situation, like you would say, oh, the bank is fallen, it's bankrupt, and they've closed down the bank, all my money is gone. This bank did this to me. No, please don't do that. Just quieten yourself. I've even got an example of the bank, mind you. We had Brahma Kumari's funds in a bank, and some we had it in the system, some we had it in the locker. And in the 90s, we had a bomb blast in the American embassy, and our bank was just right next to it. And we knew, so many lives were lost in that bomb blast, that why you're talking about your locker and why you're talking about your bank and all that. Just, it wasn't ours, it was universe, and it's taken, finished. We just put a full stop there. After 3 or 4 months, this bank called us and they said, Madam, can you please come and open your locker and can you please see what you have here? We have revived everything. And when we went, you won't believe that bank was completely broken with the bomb blast. It was quite scary, you know. But in spite of that, that money came back, you know, everything came back. So there are so many answers to it, but the only thing is when you let go, you know, in your mind and just look for a solution, you would definitely get an outcome. But if you hold on to it and try and snatch, you know, whether it's the physical body, whether it's the financial or whatever, but it all depends on your mind. It's like letting go a bird from the cage. If it is yours and it's used to you, it will come back. Otherwise, it goes.
Pratibha, I'm
Yes,
sure all the beautiful souls, because we all are beautiful souls, listening
mm,
to you now, I
yes,
regret to say we've run out of time.
I know. Yeah.
We've run out of time. So from me to you, bless you. Thank you so, so much on behalf of everyone tuning in tonight, wherever you are in the world, from Harmony House. And I've picked up one line just to really sum everything up. Don't just trim the leaves,
Yes.
be the example. And with that, you are the example and you've inspired us. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's joined us from wherever you are in the world. Until next time from Harmony House, look forward to seeing you again. Once
So,
again,
Peter, thank
Pratibha.
you very much. And Sister Aruna, thank you for this golden opportunity. And yes, I'm seeing a lot of messages here.
Given from the heart to your heart.
Thank you.
So
And good
bye-bye,
night.
everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.